When I read that email, I wanted to quit professional wrestling. I wanted to quit my life. Look me in the eyes when I say this. That email made me want to kill myself.
This, for many wrestling fans, was the real turning point for one of the greatest heels or villains in wrestling today, MJF. Some will say that he's fully turned hero or babyface. And after rewatching this promo again, I don't really consider that. I think right now we are watching MJF in his tragic anti-hero arc. An anti-hero, by definition, is a main character in a story who may lack conventional hero qualities and attributes such as idealism, courage, and morality. Some even call it a false protagonist. I think this perfectly describes MJF right now. Let's talk about that. Since day one MJF stepped foot in AEW, it was established that he was a bad guy or a heel. He always feuded with babyfaces. He would insult people ad nauseum. He was narcissistic. He would flaunt his attributes. He would do everything in his power to make people hate him, and he did this on purpose. And I would say since 2019, for the better part of 3 years, we've never really seen MJF be vulnerable up until this year. Not even starting with this promo, you would have to go back to his feud with CM Punk to see MJF be vulnerable for the very first time.
And I see my teammates walking up to me, and I'm excited because for once in my life, I actually think I'm gonna make friends. All of them decided to throw the corners at me as hard as they physically could. They said, "Pick it up, Jew boy, pick it up." I cried, but finally I stopped because I realized today's Friday. And that means tonight I get to meet my hero CM Punk at an autograph signing.
It's not very often in professional wrestling that heels show such a vulnerable side the way that MJF would do in this promo back in February. It doesn't just stop there though, because then it goes into why he is the way he is, and that's why I find it so beautiful the way MJF tells these stories.
That day meant everything to me, and when I went back home I made a promise to myself that I was gonna be just like my hero CM Punk. I wasn't gonna be afraid to speak up for myself. This 5'0" ADD riddled Jew boy, was gonna become the best in the world.
A lot of you remember the matches and the feud and the promos being great. But do you exactly remember why MJF hated CM Punk so much?
You leave me when I needed you most, when I believed in you. You left me. You left all of us. If the best in the world couldn't do it, why could some dumb 5'0" ADD riddled Jew boy?
MJF went back to his villainous ways after this, but he never admitted to lying in this promo. I think he truly spoke from the heart then, and he's speaking from the heart now. Now, in the beginning, we started with the latest promo between MJF and William Regal. Then I jumped back to show you MJF and CM Punk, to show you the first stage of MJF being vulnerable. We're gonna jump back one more time, but just to like 2 weeks ago. Back where MJF had a match with Wheeler Yuta. Back to when MJF had a match with Wheeler Yuta on the October 5th edition of AEW Dynamite. Now to reiterate, MJF is the villain here. At the end of the match, Wheeler Yuta extends out a handshake. MJF seems conflicted about this. Now, the heel that he is, you would expect him to punch Wheeler Yuta in the face. But here's what happens. He looks like he's about to go in for it. He's debating, he's backling, he's going in real close, and then he gets attacked by one of MJF's goons. But MJF pushes him away and tells him, "I told you not to do that." MJF's manager, Stokely Hathaway, then hands him his diamond ring, encouraging MJF to punch Wheeler Yuta in the face. Look at how conflicted he looks in the face. Like he doesn't want to do it. Almost like his hand is being forced. And that's when William Regal comes down to the ring. MJF backs off. Cowardice? Maybe, but I think it's also a sign of respect that MJF did not go to strike William Regal. Let's fast forward to the week following. MJF's manager intervenes in the beginning of this promo, and you see MJF's reaction here.
This is strike number 2 for you. See, strike number 1 was last week when you got involved in my business when I did not inquire you to. Now, if you do that again, Stokely, I'm gonna fire you. So now here's what's gonna happen.
A heel just punished another heel for doing heelless actions.
Everybody in this locker room hates my guts and probably wants me dead, and I'm sure that makes up a large amount of our audience as well. Well, guess what? Waking up every morning, splashing water in my face, looking in the mirror and knowing I have no choice but to be the bad guy. I've broken my hand many a times, punching my own reflection. Tough shit! Just guess what? When I walk through that curtain, I don't like me either!
He just told us he doesn't like the person that he is, but he chooses to be that person, and the next part is really crucial.
That is what it takes to to become champion of the world, and by hook or by crook, I will become champion.
That's what it takes to become champion. In his convoluted mind, he believes he has to go to these levels in order to sustain something. For nothing else, it proves that this is almost nearly a facade that he's doing. Now let's jump forward to this week. 2 weeks removed from William Regal interrupting MJF after considering punching one of his guys, Will Yuta, in the face, they are now in the ring together. Immediately, he takes the ring off, as to show that he's come in peace.
I'm not here to fight, Will. You can put the nuts away. I'm here to talk.
MJF gets in the ring and he proceeds to tell a story that I'm going to reiterate to save a little bit of time. Basically, back in 2017, MJF was hired as an extra for WWE. William Regal was scouting talent. MJF and his group of guys were lined up for trial matches before the show started. What do you know, MJF was the most impressive out of all of them. So much so that William Regal pulled him to the side and told him, "I'm going to get you a job here, kid." Regal asked how old MJF was, and MJF said he was 19.
You looked at me and you said, "Kid, I'm sorry, but you're much too young."
And just like that, the crowd turned on Regal. Regal was now the villain. Regal told MJF he's going to keep tabs on him, just email him basically his matches for the next few months, until he's able to get MJF in the door. Month 1, month 2, everything's going well. Then we hit month 3.
All you want, you son of a bitch. You send me a promo. You send me a promo that I have read every single day since. Let me read it to you here today live. And you put this in quotations, "Show me your acting skills." Do not reply to this, but how would this make me say, "Oh, I know, let's hire Max"? The WWE exclusively hires the best talent in the world to the top world-class athletes. When you're one of them, then maybe send me your stuff.
That's when MJF got emotional about how that email made him want to unalive himself. But he did it to spite people like Regal and the doubters out there. Now, not only is he the top in AEW, but he's making more money than he probably would have made in WWE. And Regal's the one who got fired from WWE and went crawling to MJF's company at AEW. By the end of the promo, the crowd was clapping and cheering for MJF, and then they started booing Regal when he started talking. To summarize Regal's points, Regal started to gaslight MJF. Basically minimalized his entire experience by saying, "I experienced worse. Stop crying about it." But all in all, he's still not impressed with MJF. Because even though he may be a villain, he does what he does in order to win, not because he likes doing it. And Regal sees through that. And that's when Regal gives him the ultimate test.
Or are you going to just take another shortcut and so you can come out here and act like a victim and whine and cry?
He turns his back and tells MJF to basically punch him and prove that you're actually a villain that you said that you are. But MJF doesn't do it.
You still have a lot to prove.
Common trend here is that MJF, when he respects his opponents, is when he lets down their guard. And you start to see the real him. Because if MJF were a true devil, he would have knocked Regal's lights out. But he didn't, because he wants to do good. But he's not willing to, because all of his success was by doing bad. He's conscious of that, and that's what makes him an anti-hero. What do you guys think?